Welcome back. Nigeria and the United States have activated a new security partnership with American troops now on ground. The deployment comes in the wake of the Christmas Day airstrikes targeting terrorist camps in Sokoto. Authorities say the joint effort is focused on strengthening Nigeria's counter-terrorism response and reinforcing security cooperation across the region. Now, a new report is detailing a decade of shifting U.S. military strategy, moving from forever wars to high-impact targeted interventions. From 2016 to 2026, the U.S. is reported to have maintained active zones in Iraq, Syria, and Somalia, focusing on dismantling ISIS and al-Shabaab. While the 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal marked an era's end, recent years have seen a surge in direct action. This includes the 2025 strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities and the 2026 operation in Venezuela, resulting in the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Beyond combat, the U.S. continues to provide massive strategic hardware to Ukraine and logistical support to stabilize Haiti. Authorities say these specialized operations remain the front line of global security. Now let's look at Nigeria-U.S. military partnership. The alliance between Nigeria and the U.S. reached a historic turning point, shifting from advisory roles to active combat support. Following a strategic pivot in late 2025, the U.S. conducted direct airstrikes against ISIS-affiliated groups in northwest Nigeria. As of this month, AFRICOM has confirmed the deployment of a specialized team of intelligence, fusion, and terror cell dismantling. The partnership is backed by a massive arsenal, including nearly $1 billion for AH-1Z Viper helicopters and a fleet of A-29 Super Tucanos. To ensure surgical accuracy, a $25 million training program is now integrating air-to-ground operations to protect civilians and uphold international law. We're being joined also for this conversation from our newsroom by Charles Onwuche, an international relations expert. He's also a lawyer. He joins us from our newsroom. Hello, Charles.
Pleasure to be here. How are you?
We still have Awal and Musa here. Musa in the studio, Awal from Kaduna. Charles, you weigh in on this one now. The U.S. now has boots on ground as an international affairs specialist and lawyer. Do you think that aligns with the laws of sovereignty of nations, regardless of whatever partnership that there might be?
I think it does, regardless of the partnership. I think the United States made it very clear any country has diplomatic relationships with it wants that country to be strong. Prudent its resources, but ensure that the policies and treaties that are agreed between the U.S. and that specific country are adhered to.
Well, so I didn't get you very well. You're saying that what's being done now aligns with what the laws of both countries and partnerships allow?
Well, the partnership can be different between the laws. So that's the reason why we have a treaty. A treaty allows two countries to formalize their processes, procedures, and expectations, essentially the rules of the road. So as long as those parameters are met, that's the first instance. And the second instance is independent laws that relate to the United States, and obviously in this situation, Nigeria. So as long as those purviews are met, there is no issue. Now, when those purviews are not met, then both countries come together and typically identify what the issue is and figure out how to move forward. As we know, we have laws, but all laws are not followed. And that's the expectation that we all see. But I think the most important thing is for us to have a system in place to address concerns as they appear before us.
Okay, Musa, this has happened. I mean, we were just talking earlier about the return of 166, but now we're seeing boots on ground from the U.S., a fusion of intelligence and technical support. What do you think as a retired military person in Nigeria?
So, if you read also, these assistants have various categories. There is the combat, and there is the non-combat, which could involve from security, that's assistance, or that's technical training, as to training, to even intelligence gathering. And I think the Minister of Defense was clear about the type of assistance, the unique capabilities they are bringing on board, which is the issue of intelligence, which is the issue of identifying and so on and so forth. So it's not something entirely new. We have had trainers, we have had advisors, or by whatever name they're called, participating and working line in line on the ground with the Nigerian military. Not only the US, perhaps the UK and so on. Those partners that we have always worked together with. So if perhaps what is changing is the intensity or the nature of this partnership. Now, if you relate it to, let's say, it's December strike, which was also something unprecedented. Now, if you take away, that is the extreme where you're using lethal force against groups and whatever. But if you take it slightly down, there have been this cooperation ever since. I give you personally, I trained in the United States Air Force Staff College. That's where I did my Staff College. For 1 year, I was embedded with the military, with the US military, training with them and doing everything they would do. So these are things that are usual, they are normal. I think what is bringing the whole difference is one, and this is what I will advise, that we have to manage these narratives. We have to manage this communication. We shouldn't, for example, as a nation, allow others to frame this narrative. And this is why it's spiraling out of control. Because these are normal things, non-militaries, non-kinetic. We have foreign military cells and so on and so forth. Yes. So they have partnerships that have been there, they have existed, and we have benefited from it from both sides. And so it's honestly, except when it's escalated, when there are more boots, we don't know the number yet, but it's normal for there to be those support, whether in country or from the American bases or American source elsewhere. So it's a normal thing, and it shouldn't be taken out of context.
Well, now many in Nigerian are well, the American soldiers are on ground, so everything else will be sorted, because there is that narrative which is believed to be pushed forward by the Americans, that when America steps into anything, it is sorted. But you being a veteran and on ground as well, seeing men coming to the country wearing other uniforms apart from our uniforms, what kind of messaging do you think, even as Musa said, we need to control this narrative from our own end as well, to the people on ground, to the citizens on ground? What should we be saying if you had the opportunity to talk to those 166 that have returned home and others who are maybe family members of victims of kidnapping or attacks? What would you be saying to them about this?
Well, it is simple. I would be making them understand that just like the wing commander there have said, this kind of partnership is not a new thing. It has been in existence for a very long time, and it is not only between Nigeria and America, even though there's skepticism about the coming of America. But like he rightly said, we should control the communication, the means of communication, and then try to educate Nigerians, not just the families of 166, but Nigerians in general, most especially Nigeria of the northern region, to understand that it is not about what they feel or what they think is what is happening, but about the contribution that is expected to come in as these Americans are coming in. So I will be telling the families, and of course those that were abducted, that well, they are here to assist. They are here to contribute to national security, to national development. They are not just here because of you, because there's going to be this psychological thinking, and then embedded in them, if not being careful, that they were specifically here because they have been kidnapped, because they are coming immediately, within the parameter of the situation or that happened to them. And also, other northerners are now beginning to think, that is why I agree with the wing commander, that the communication needed to be controlled. Other northerners, to be precise, are beginning to think otherwise. And just like the wing commander also put it, we need to be Nigerianized. We need to think patriotically. We need to speak patriotically. We need to convince ourselves that it is about Nigeria. It is not about tribe. It is not about. It's not about religion. Already, the narrative is being blowing up. This number of Christians or that number of Muslims, or it's about Christians or it's about Muslims. That is an indirect divide and rule. Just like you earlier tried to portray of a certain theory that I would not want to be mentioning. But truly, that would be my line of communication, to make them understand it is about Nigeria, it is about the general security of the people, it is about trying to control the security challenges and ensure that there's accelerated development as far as the whole issue is concerned. And that was why when you try to bring up the issue of Ubasani, Ubasani is an activist. and activism is about humanitarian activities. So being an activist, becoming a governor, he understands the issue of human rights, human development, freedom, human freedom. And that was why you see the happiness in him, and he's trying to ensure that all those victims are carried along so that they can feel at home, they can feel comfortable, they can feel that they are cared for, not feel being neglected. And it's not, and I'm sure the Oversenate that I know will also try to appease them in whatever possible way and try to comfort them so that as they are going back home after the psychological screening, they will be home comfortable and not be thinking too much of what happened, but rather be ambassadors of peace now that will preach peace within the communities, that will preach peace among Nigerians and preach love.
Well, I need to bring in Charles because we're out of time. The one question I wanted to ask the three of you, but Charles, this matter of communication, there is controlled communication, or which may not be effective, as against owned and effective communication. Which would it be, and what would you say should be done in either of the two of them?
Yeah, I definitely believe that communication needs to grow and be stronger than what it is today. I think it's quite evident from the communication the last 30 days, last several months, that can be an improvement. I think it's important for both sides. I think definitely Nigeria and also US to do so. And I think the most important thing is set up an infrastructure that allows us to examine what are we seeing, what have we tracked the last couple of weeks that has been impacting the ability for US and also Nigerian communications, and then make those plans and make those changes. And I think this is not something that's going to fix itself in the next 30 days or so. And I think we need both sides to be open to that conversation.
Really, we do appreciate your contributions there, but let me just bring this to you, Musa, as we go. Why do you think there is an upsurge? Try and do this real quick, or not in all of these attacks, so to speak.
Well, the whole idea is, these are spiraling effects. They try it here. So there's the fact that there's upsurge in offensive action by the state security forces. Now, when that happens, of course, what it means is that they are on the run and there are soft targets everywhere and so on. So there's as you go, that's how guerrilla warfare is. It's about the people. Government is trying to say we are capable of protecting the people, and the bad guys are saying government is not capable of protecting you. So even as they are going, even as they are dispersing, and it takes, you'll be shocked at the number that it takes to protect a particular location versus the number that it takes to just destroy that location. Like we know, if you just need 1 or 2 people with a gun to scatter an entire locality, while as you might need up to a battalion like the president sent to just protect or to have a feeling of safety and so on and so on. Right. So now what is happening is that as this continues, and we have to be very aware, that's now talking about the security forces, that this is going to continue. As you put pressure in one sector, they're going to go to other sector and so on. And it goes to what we're saying, technology, numbers, very key. You need the technology to be able to warn you. You need the technology to be able to move to where you have contact and impact. Then you need the numbers to ensure that nowhere is left.
And then you need the communication as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Retired Wing Commander, Nigerian Air Force, Musa Salmatu. Thank you for coming in. He's a peace and Salmanu. He's a peace and development analyst.
Thank you so
much.
Thank
you there. We had a military veteran as well, retired Awal Abdullahi, and convener Northern Contesters Movement. Thank you for coming in, Awal. We do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And Charles Onwuche, international relations expert, who joined us from our new studio. Gentlemen, I look forward to the day when we can have the whole hour to have this conversation, because I have a couple of questions I wanted to put to you, but we'll do that again maybe tomorrow. I'll talk to the producers and see how that works out. But thank you once again.